All right, how y'all doing? I'm here with Freddy from Line Thumbs. We're at the Landscape Summit 2020-23. I wanted to just ask you a few questions. First of all, I'm a fan of your YouTube channel.
Thanks.
I like what you do, the leadership you show to your guys and everything. And I just wanted to say, keep doing what you're doing and inspiring small owners like me.
Appreciate that.
No problem, man.
Appreciate
but,
that.
my first question, I'm new to this, so I got everything ready.
Yeah, right on.
How do you find your great guys?
So I find people that don't have any experience.
Right.
Because I've tried the whole, hey, I need somebody with 3 years experience, driver's license, all these things, right? But what you need is people just with a good attitude.
Right.
Somebody that needs work, maybe somebody that has responsibilities.
Right.
And you try and build them up that way.
Right.
Because once you start making, a schedule for them, routes, responsibilities, that's when you start seeing people step up.
Okay.
But you also got to pay good.
Right.
Because I've done it where I've hired high school kids where I think I could pay them, $15 an hour. That's probably more than they've made in a long time.
Right.
But overall, it doesn't translate to retention. They still get sidetracked with stuff. So you also have to look for somebody with a little more responsibilities in life.
Right,
That's what I look for.
Definitely.
I know it's an easy kind of industry that you can get into. You just got a mower and just go.
Right.
But you can actually make a living.
Right.
You got to find people that are actually waiting for that opportunity to make good money.
Right.
So that's kind of the first thing I look for is somebody with a good attitude.
Right,
and then you
right,
kind of
right.
build them up from there
Right.
and train them. So you find your guy that's you would call your trainer. Maybe that's not his official title, but
Right.
that's the one that's like your team influencer.
Right.
And where if he buys into the program, then the new guys can follow and set examples. I'm really big on having examples, so that when new guys come in, they kind of just see how it is, and it's like either they get in line,
Right.
or they're going to be rebellious, and it's like they just repelling themselves, like
Right.
they know they're not fitting in.
Right.
So examples, people that want to learn, good attitude, don't worry about experience. You can teach that, but you can't teach somebody that wants to come to work.
Right. Do you do like the old-fashioned way, Facebook, word of mouth,
Yeah,
Indeed?
yeah,
Okay.
all that.
That's good.
Indeed, try and give people bonuses for bringing people in.
Right.
But be loud about it. Like, dude, I gave him $200 because he referred somebody in.
Right.
But don't just give it to them right when they get hired. It's do like a 4-week
Right.
thing.
Right.
That's a good opportunity for you to train these people. And if they finish that, then you give it to them and make it like a known thing. Don't if you forget, tell everybody, oh, I forgot, man. You're supposed to wait 4 weeks. So the next one, it'll be 4 weeks later.
Right.
Because that will happen. You're excited they got somebody that maybe has experience and they're already on their truck. Wait the 4 weeks because over time you want to build that into your culture and you don't want to be messing up and people will start taking advantage and things like that. So.
I understand. Well, how do you pay you guys?
So every division is a little different, but the one that's really popular right now is my mowing division. It's basically based off budget hours or performance pay, P for P.
Right. P4P.
Summit, maybe that's the word for it here.
Yeah.
So basically, you figure out their budget hours, and so if they finish in like, let's say 8 hours, but they've got 13 hours budgeted, I pay for the whole 13 hours.
Okay.
So that's how the mowing division gets paid, and I'm trying to roll that out to all the other divisions. But things are different, and there's
Right.
compensation that are different, salaries
Right.
that I also have. So. But for the most part, that's the most popular one. It's easiest to get into. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, that answers it, definitely.
Now, I will say, in order to come up with your budget hours, you have to
Right.
figure out what your company's man-hour
Man
rate
hour-
needs to be.
That's similar.
That's
to
the
like
hardest
that,
part.
man. Yeah.
That's the thing that anybody can do budget hours and pay, but it could be wrong. You could be like paying yourself out of a business. You could be losing money and not even know it because you've got a lot of money coming in. But once you figure out that real number
Right.
of what it's supposed to be, then you can start figuring out how long does a mow guy have to work to get that number, which is, I'll say $70, right? $70, $80 an hour. So how big of a property is that? Would you allow somebody to work that and give them a budget hour of 1 hour, even if they get done in 30 minutes. So that's the hard part.
Do you budget the work on how fast your guys would do it, or how fast you think you can do it?
It's based on how slow they can do it.
You're right.
So based on a little mower kind of thing. So if you had to give everybody, so that's, and it's pretty, at my place we got it pretty accurate. So
Right.
like when we hire a new guy and we have to give him a little mower because we're not ready to give him a grandstand, because I feel like if I give him a grandstand, he might start losing the 6 or 10 houses that I give him on his first week, right?
For real.
And if we're losing houses, then that's not going to help him. So we give him a little mower, and usually when they start out, their budget hours match what we have on schedule. So if he's got 6 hours, he probably is going to get 6 hours.
Okay.
Because of that budget, because of the mower is so small, and so we've got it dialed in pretty good, and that's
Right.
going to take some time for everybody to figure out their own budget hours.
Right.
But you go off of the slowest equipment with like the slowest people.
Right, that's cool.
Maybe not somebody that's like
I'm
just met off on the bus.
Yeah.
But a good team player that's probably the slowest. That's
Yeah.
what you want to base your man hour rates on.
So right now I'm solo, so it's kind of hard for me to get into it. Like some yards I use my 30-inch push mower, some yards I use my 48. So I'm just listening to you. I'm thinking I should just take the 38 and budget everything on that. But
Probably the smaller one.
Yeah.
But whatever
No,
you're
the 30, I'm
using,
sorry,
whatever
yeah.
you're using,
30.
for sure. Yeah, the 30 for
Right,
sure.
for sure, for
That's
sure.
how. That way, in case equipment does break down, they have the opportunity to still mow the lawn with the cheaper, smaller mower, and
Right.
it's still fair for them.
Right.
They're obviously going to still, say, hey, I need something faster, and that's our job as leaders to get them the equipment
right.
they need. But at one point I was using just smaller equipment just because I thought I was saving a lot of money on equipment, and a grandstand is $10,000,
You're
but
like,
if I can get them a
just get-
$2,000 mower,
Right.
the thing is my guys were limping,
Right.
and it just wasn't right. I felt like that
Right.
wasn't going to be sustainable long term. So I got them all grandstands, and now they're killing their man
Right.
out rates.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
just
yeah.
killing.
They're killing
And
it.
I'm not changing anything, so it's better for them. The more money they make, like Tommy was saying, the more money we're gonna make.
Right, and that's the part of P4P. All the guys don't. Well, some of the owners don't understand that. Like, the more money your guys make, the more money you make. So.
As long as you're priced right.
Right. It's always about the price.
It is.
So my next question is, like, do you give your guys second chances? Like, for instance, like, you buy a new mower and one of the guys break it, or he gets in a bad accident, and how?
Yeah. So, yes. Totally.
Late
I had a new
times.
guy. I had a guy. One of my main loyal guys. He forgot to put the ramp up on a truck, and the grandstand went flying off and totaled.
Right. Wow.
And I just got the thing like maybe a month ago.
Okay.
And it's my fault. I didn't have the insurance on it. Whatever.
Things
And
happen.
he called his wife and thought he was going to get fired. Thought I was going to yell, and I was there with him. I don't know how that happened, but he was basically like, he's actually really calm, and I'm not in trouble or nothing. He didn't even say anything, because I know accidents happen,
Yeah.
But the way I look at it is like I try and have plan Bs every day.
Right.
Every single one of my employees, in the back of my mind, I have a plan B if something happens. If something bad happened in their family and I lost them because they have to do higher priority stuff, I have a plan B. So I'm constantly thinking about that. If somebody, I think I have a plan B because they have an attitude problem or because I think they're being a little shady or something, I'll approach them as soon as possible to let them know that, hey, if this continues, I don't know, we've got to figure something out. He may not know I already have a plan B,
Right.
but I let them know.
Right.
So if I talk to him like that, so that's not even my second chance yet. The second chance comes sometimes when I'm not expecting it. So like, somebody that I think is doing really good, but I found out something's wrong. I like to talk to him right away.
Right.
That is like my first attempt at saying, this is your second chance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Really.
Obviously, if somebody like stole something, then there's no coming back from that.
Right.
'Cause
Right.
that's going to happen again.
Right.
But I think I take it case by case too. So like every employee has a different story.
Right.
Just because this one guy can't save $10 to save his life, so he's always complaining about no money, and it brings a bad attitude to his his operation in the truck and going to jobs and getting there late and doing whatever and drinking and whatever. That's not the same story with this other person that who knows what his story is. So I gotta like individual. I do have manuals and stuff, and we do have ground rules.
Yeah, manuals
but
and ground rules
but
are
the
important.
ground rule are like the safety net.
Right.
You got to get to know your people and figure out what is causing these problems. You know, the one that broke the grandstand. I mean, he's going through some family issues. I'm not saying that's okay, but at least I understand the story. I understand because I've always kept up with it with everybody. I try to keep up with things. I don't know every detail of everybody's life, but when somebody is forgetting to put a stand up, something's wrong. At that point, like when somebody's that focused on something else, I typically know. I tend to know that something's wrong. So meeting them in the morning, you know, hey, how is everything? You know their patterns because you're there probably. You're gonna be there at the shop at the same time every freaking day.
Right.
I'm there all the time.
Right.
You know,
most
I'm not
definitely.
like somebody that just takes off and comes in at 12. I'm there before everybody. So when I see a pattern of somebody missing, being late, I tend to find out what's going on. You're there early enough that there's nobody there. There's a trust, so they'll talk to you, and that's kind of like the second. They know that you're there for them. Usually that second chance will never happen.
Right.
But
That's a big thing.
I'm just saying it will. Something
Something
will
always
happen.
happen.
It's hard to say. I got some pretty loyal people at this point because of
Right.
the examples that we have. So I haven't really had any issues.
That's great.
But it does happen. I've seen, there are guys that like their check is late because of the world. There was a holiday on Monday that nobody even thought the banks would be closed, so they didn't get a deposit till Wednesday.
Right.
They used my credit card to go buy themselves lunch because it was my fault
Right.
that the bank was closed and they didn't have their check.
It's technically not, but I understand
See,
that.
that's theft.
Yeah.
So you got to have ground rules too. So that's the other thing. It's like stop the ground rules. Like stop what could go wrong by having ground rules.
Right.
So the manuals, or even if it's something that's 2 pages long that you typed out, read it to them.
Yeah.
Things that are important, like using the credit card when they shouldn't be using that, clocking out for lunch or whatever. So it's a game. They're like employees are like your brother or sister. They think they can get away with things because you love them so much.
Sometimes they act like your children.
Yeah. So you gotta have ground rules.
Okay. But my last question here is, what would you say to the guys, or some of the owners that are seeking leadership and that would love to train themselves to become a better boss and that'll help them become a better owner? Or just the ones who just, hey, go do that, go do that, go do that. But they want to learn how to be a boss, or like what should they do? What kind of books or YouTube or anything that you think might help them? Because like at first I was one of those guys that I didn't think I can like teach other guys stuff. So I just went around better people, started watching better YouTube videos and stuff like that, and it helped me out with my communication. And then I came from the ground up. I used to work with Brightview, and I didn't like how they used to talk to us, and even some of the chucking the trucks is what Mike called them, solo guys. They used to talk to us crazy. So now that kind of helped me. On the owner side, I understand, like, okay, you can't really be talking to people like that.
No, you can't be talking to people like that. I see it all the time.
Right.
And I even see like pretty decent companies with people that run their operation like, this is the way it is. There's I don't care about your story or your story. So it kind of takes some looking at yourself, but what I would say is if you're by yourself with your employees is the next level. So like I have the management team, right? And then I have the field guys under them. What I would recommend is getting that first level, even if it's an office person. If you're that kind of person and you're trying to get better, first get somebody that is reasonable to manage the office that you can actually bounce ideas off of too, and maybe have that person delegate the way things to the people.
Right.
There's resources out with YouTube. You can find a coach, you know,
Coach
that'll
is
just,
insane.
there are coaches that will help you like work on yourself.
Right.
But that's a big step. Most people don't even know they need that. So
Right.
what I would recommend is like, if you're that kind of person that is like hounding on people to do stuff, that probably means you need to be doing something else in your business that's more productive, that'll actually make you feel better about your business than getting so mad. So
Right.
hire that person to do that for you. And typically, since they're kind of in their mindset the same level as, you know, the Mo guy, they talk to him a little differently.
Right.
You know, when I'm in, I have a warehouse in the back of my shop where I have all my sprinkler tools, or sprinkler supplies. And when I'm in there, the staff starts coming in. They don't know I'm there, and some of the foremans will talk to them, and they are joking and laughing like I never could get that out of them.
Right.
You know, and no matter how like much I dap with them and talk
Right.
with them, some guy was laughing and I didn't know who it was. 'Cause I
Right.
never
Heard
heard
him
that
laugh.
worker like that.
Yeah.
Because in front of me, it's yes sir,
Yes, sir,
you know.
yeah.
And I try my hardest to be like, dude, I'm your friend. Like,
Nah,
you
nah,
can
I
talk
see
to
that,
me,
yeah.
but it'll never be that close. Where the foreman, he's their boss. He's the
Right.
one that they call when they're sick. They don't call me, they call him. If he
Right.
said you're fired, they don't even call me and say, hey, he fired me. No,
Right.
they're done.
Right.
So they get that level of, you know, camaraderie with a manager. Never really gonna get as good as that with an owner. Sometimes you might find one or two people, but overall, that's what I would recommend. Give the delegation to somebody else. Work on yourself. Let them work on them to be the bad guy, not you. I don't know if that answers your
Nah, that
question,
answers
but that's
my
kind of
question.
what I
That's
think of
everything.
when
I
I think of
appreciate
that.
it.
Yeah.
Hey, if you guys haven't followed Freddy, he has the company Lawn Thumbs. Check him out. Great guy, great leader. I appreciate it, Freddy. Thank you.
Thanks.
You know,